Hi guys, and welcome back to the fourth episode of Sent Off Stories. Sorry for the break we had. We had our semester break and honestly got up to not much. I worked throughout most of it and didn't do anything other than that. I didn't really study either, but
Oh man.
it's what it is. Get back into it now.
Yeah, and for me, I was pretty much did the same thing. I can't lie. It wasn't extremely eventful, but hey,
We
good time.
One exciting thing we did have, well, I don't know if we can count it as exciting, but we had the end of our football season. So we've spoken a fair bit about our side, FC Benefice, that we created at this earlier in the year. We had our last game that was meant to be played on the first Sunday of the break, I think. Or it
Yeah,
might have even
yeah.
been, it was that. And we rocked up, we were all ready to go. And the team we were playing didn't even turn up, didn't message us or anything.
Man.
Nothing happened with that. But they got fined $100 and straight to
Bang.
my pocket. So that
Can't
went to
complain.
beers and a barbecue for all the boys to come through afterwards. And we did a little prize giving, which was,
That was
I reckon
cool.
that was great fun. Like it was a really good way to end off the season, and
Yeah,
it was just good to hang out with all the boys, to be honest.
By the way, we had like a bunch of supporters that actually came, had beanbags set up and everything, and it got to like the game was supposed to be at 1, I think, and it got to like 10 past, and everyone's like, "Yo, what's going on?" So we just ended up playing like a crappy friendly game.
Yeah, we kind of just like wandered around. Some of the boys were walking around asking the whole time when we're going home to drink. It's like,
was
oh yeah,
good.
I reckon we should leave for beers now. It's like, okay, bro, we've been here for 10 minutes. We've knocked the ball around for a little bit.
Yeah.
No, but there's been a lot going on in the world of football. We had the Carabao Cup over the last 2 days, which I think was cool because there hasn't really been... This must be the first cup competitions for the season now, hey?
Yeah, I think so.
So there were the earlier preliminary rounds, which I think smaller sides were playing in, so none of the big six were in those, I don't think. And there wasn't anything too notable with those, but this morning and yesterday there were some cracking games. Chelsea beating Brighton 1-0. That's a really big result for them. I think
Yeah.
that's massive. First goal in, I think,
7
this
games.
month. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while for them now. And it just ends a bad run of form. Like, their only win... Was it their only win this season was against Luton 3-0?
Yeah.
And, yeah...
We're what, 6 games in now?
Yeah.
Or is it 5? Something ridiculous.
And I think it's just it's a way to turn it around for them, and hopefully it just starts going forward for them now, because that was a real struggle. They were I think our flatmate Kyle, he's a Chelsea fan, he was mentioning to us that I think if you counted it as a 38 game week from the last 38 games in the Premier League, they would have been relegated,
Yeah.
which is that's unbelievable. Like, there's the jokes about them getting relegated, and like that's all bants, but the fact they could have actually been relegated if that was the case, it's mental. As well, this is a good one for you. Newcastle knocking out City this morning. The quadruple's
Man.
off.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Did you watch it?
happy. No.
Or late night last night?
I did not wake up for it, but this morning I saw and I was like, man, I honestly, like, it's disappointing, but you have to give credit to Newcastle at the moment. I mean, they came off last week with an 8-0 win.
Yeah.
Which was...
You kind of knew they'd come out flying, and you boys
Yeah.
rotated a lot. Like, the
Yeah.
side was quite
weren't
there were
playing
quite
our
drastic
normal team.
changes. Yeah. And then Manchester United, my side, we beat Palace 3-0 yesterday. Palace fielded a pretty standard, average second string team, I think. They never really got into the game. There were a few odd chances, but it was nice to see United actually looking like they were playing cohesive football. Ten Hag style was in there.
Yeah.
And it was just a nice change over the last couple of weeks with his players that haven't been even working hard off the ball or anything like that. A big one for me was Hannibal Mejbri. He passes the name test, so that's for sure. But I think he ran 13 kilometres during the game. He's got the most pressures in the Premier League for us now. He just works all game. And it's a nice change from watching players that don't even want to do anything for the side, and then a youngster comes in and works hard the whole game. It's just quality to see, to be honest.
And players like Mount, you said, and obviously he had a cracking game.
Yeah,
According to Jordan, he said Mount was really good.
Only played the first 45, but it wasn't an injury or anything. He just was meant to play the first 45. I presume he'll start on the weekend again.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was quality. He got an assist from a corner to a great Casemiro header. He just ran all game, and he's just there for those pockets. A good one as well was Amrabat. He started in left back, but almost was a free roam at points, and he's quality. I'm really excited to see what he's going to bring to the side.
Yeah.
And I think he'll bring a lot more for Casemiro. Let him be more box to box. We'll see even more goal contributions for him, which is crazy to say because he had 19 last season.
That's stupid, eh?
Yeah.
For a DM. Bro, I'm just saying, by the way, obviously Ethan's a United fan, I'm a City fan. If City had beaten Newcastle this morning, we would have got a derby in the round of 16.
Yeah, that's mental.
Man, that's disappointing.
It would have been at Old Trafford as well, which that would have been a great game. And then we also had Liverpool beating Leicester this morning 3-1. Pretty standard for them. I heard Gakpo scored a really good goal. He's been on a good run of form at the moment.
Yeah.
Arsenal beat Brentford 1-0. I saw lots on Twitter about Havertz not playing well and people insulting each other about him playing centre mid and saying he can't do it, which I love to see it, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of Havertz, but...
He's been getting so much stick, though, because to
Yeah.
be fair, like, from what we've seen, it's not promising.
His time in the Premier League hasn't been great. I'm not sure what the go is for him now. Everton beat Villa 2-1 this morning as well, which is interesting after Villa beat Chelsea on the weekend.
Yeah.
Ex-United player Garner played really well. He scored and was just all over the place. Which was quite cool to see. And then Wolves and Luton, two Prem sides, both crashed out. Luton crashing out to 6th place in League One this morning. Yeah, it's not a good look for them. I'm hoping they stay up because I love their stadium, but I think in all honesty, a lot of what they did to get up was to solidify them in the championship, even as a top side. And I think them rebuilding the stadium and then making all these just renovations, I think it's just to solidify them at the top and slowly make those steps to being a top championship side, early Premier League side.
But at the same time, I feel like that also comes as a hindrance for the club because there's so many like, what's the word? Like they have to reconstruct a lot of things and rebuild. And I saw, who was it? I think Crystal Palace years ago, they were a second div team and they came up and they just weren't ready. Yeah. Like I think being in the Premier League does add a lot of challenges too because you have to hold like certain expectations and
yeah, 100%. And you can't just go out and like you can't get away with losing games. Like every game matters in the Premier League. And the Championship, there's definitely more fixtures. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but there's more games. It's a longer season.
42.
Yeah, so they've got a lot to play for, and there's a lot of chances there. And in the Championship, there's a lot of teams that stay about there for a while. In the Prem, you always see those bottom sides just bouncing up and down. It's almost a spot of uncertainty. So it'll be interesting to see what they do now, but I'm not too sure. And then the next matchups, like you mentioned, United are playing Newcastle at home, which that'll be a great game. Yeah, it'll be really good.
I think both teams, like, now we can see, like, good United play. If they keep that up against Newcastle, who's also in form, we're in for a good one.
Yeah, it'll be really good. I reckon there's a chance for both of those sides to go on now and potentially win the competition. Arsenal playing against West Ham in a little London derby. That'll be a good watch. Yeah. West Ham are always a good watch, I think. Liverpool travel to Bournemouth. That's going to be a win for Liverpool,
I can't
if we're
see
being
them
honest.
losing. Yeah.
And then Chelsea, luck out, to be honest, and I think it's good for them playing against Blackburn. Even though Blackburn did have a 5-2 win this morning, which, hey, if they keep playing well, that could be an interesting one. Could be an upset.
If that's an upset, though, man, you already know what Twitter's going to look like.
You know what Cole's going to be saying. When Chelsea scored this morning, he was screaming. Like, I was awake and I'd probably been awake for about 10 minutes. But first thing I hear coming from the flat is screaming. And I'm like, I honestly was looking around because I thought one of our neighbors was in trouble or something. Like, I had no idea what was going on. And then I just hear, yes, come on. It's like, man, what is going on?
Limbs. I mean, what? That was their first goal in 7 games.
Yeah,
That's
and then
crazy.
a message in the group chat with Kyle, just all caps, we scored. It's unreal.
That was funny.
Yeah, and then those fourth round ties are going to come in. They're commencing at the end of next month, so
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a break. I know there's a international break coming up. I think that's
Surely that's not for 2 weeks again.
I think it will be, but I think it's at start of next month, maybe.
Well, we've got a game week this week for Prem.
And then there's a break,
and
I
then-
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're going to get into some general football news. There's been a fair bit happening. Not good things, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Do you want to touch on this one? This one's...
Yeah. I'll get started. It's a bit sad to cover, to be honest. So, massive stories come up through the what would you say?
That would be...
I don't know how to actually.
I don't know
probably word it,
what
but-
the how this would work, because it's quite... This is the Osherman situation we're talking about.
Yeah.
So Osherman is a Napoli striker. He got them the title last season. Him and Kvaratskhelia, like two huge players for them. And I think Osherman goes a fair bit underappreciated for them. There's long history of racism in the Serie A, and as a
Yeah.
black footballer, I think it's difficult for him to eventually get the recognition he deserves. Whereas Kvaratskhelia had graphics of him with a crown from Maradona, and when Osherman's been the guy that's been grinding for them, and I think it's awful. But there were TikToks made and posted on their socials of some strange trend of like them comparing Osherman to a coconut or something. And
So bad.
it's like, I'm not a boy or a girl, I'm a coconut. And it's just weird, like really strange.
Yeah. So he missed the penalty in his last match.
Oh, that was the other video as well, hey?
Yes, there's been multiple videos. It's really bad from it's on TikTok from Napoli's admin. They posted a video of him, like, I don't know if it was actually of him missing the penalty, but they were flaming
Yeah,
him
the
for
end of it was,
something.
because it's from a, there's like this really bad, bad Messi, meme where it's just like calling him Pessy, saying he just takes penalties and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was a sound of that, and that was laid over with Osherman missing the pen in their 0-0 draw over the weekend. But it's like, this guy's done so much for the
happens,
club,
man. Yeah.
and players miss penalties all the time. I don't understand where that's come from, and who's clearing these. Like, me and Ollie work in not work, but are getting there in communications. Like, obviously we're in our 3rd year, we're both interning at the moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into clearing stuff for socials. Like, there's a lot more than I expected. You can't just post a TikTok and go, let's put this up. You have to go through a lot of channels.
yeah.
How is a massive football club going through all the channels and going, oh yeah, she'll be right, this can go through? Like,
I don't know, man. But I feel like either he went through no one and he's probably going to be sacked, or he went through people that just have an agenda or something.
yeah, because
That's so bad. I've just seen last season he scored 31 goals in 38 games for them.
yeah, like
It was essentially like him. He was the reason they won the league for the first time in how many knows? Like, I don't know how long.
I think it was since Maradona, which is
That's
just
ridiculous.
jokes. Yeah. And then his agents threatening legal action. I saw a video of him rocking up this morning to the game. He was he shook hands with someone but ignored some of the players. It's just made a mess.
Yeah. I'm surprised he still played, to be honest.
Yeah, and scored.
Yeah.
Got pulled in the 63rd minute, but in their 4-1 win, he went back to scoring ways. It'll be interesting to see what happens now, whether he gets a move in January or if he sorts this out and he stays at the club. But Chelsea could be interested. I've seen that. Arsenal as
Yeah.
well, but I presume wages will be a big issue.
It's
and
worth
then,
a lot.
Yeah, and he gets paid a lot. And then dealing with
Yeah.
Napoli isn't easy as well. They don't like to let go of their players cheap. Madrid and Saudi Arabian clubs are most likely to lead the race, apparently, which I'd like to see him at Madrid. I think that would
That'd
be cool.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see him in Saudi Arabia. Like,
I feel like they've already ruined too many player careers already.
yeah, he's still
young.
too young, and he's still in the form of his life. And if he went there, it would be really disappointing.
He's 24. Like, if he goes there at 24, man, it's
That's
just
mental,
sad. Yeah.
Another big one at the moment, which is pretty bad as well, is the Jadon Sancho stuff. He, with all the controversy around Anthony at the moment, who's not in the squad, he's just come back to England. He's meant to meet with police and sort out some of the issues going on with his case. This was the perfect opportunity for Sancho to come in and make a stake for the right winger spot.
Yeah.
But he posted on Twitter after Ten Hag called. I think someone questioned him about Sancho not being in the squad or not starting or something.
Yeah.
I think he wasn't in the squad, and Ten Hag just said there's standards to meet. Like, you have to train well to play. Nothing offensive or anything like that. Like, there's been managers in the past that have said worse things. Like, if you had Ferguson at the club still,
Man.
I don't think he'd still be there.
I mean,
at
that's
all.
a pretty normal thing to say.
Yeah, like,
You
there are
expect
standards to
that.
meet.
Yeah.
If you're not good enough, you don't play. And if you don't work hard enough, you don't play. So he's refusing to apologise. He's got a post up on Twitter that might be down now. I don't know if it is. It was pinned for a while. Like, it was his pinned tweet on his profile, but saying that he's a scapegoat and that he doesn't want his name to be dragged, that sort of thing. The whole situation's a mess. I don't know what the plan for the club will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be a case of seeing what happens now, but there's been not character issues, but I think discipline issues with him in the past where he's not been fully into getting to training. His punctuality's been off. Like, there was something I saw the other night that he was playing FIFA or EAFC now at 3 a.m. the night before he was supposed to apologise with he was supposed to have a meeting with Ten Hag in the morning, I think, and his account was playing division rivals at 3 a.m. when there's been reports from when he was at Dortmund that he was doing the same thing, like playing FIFA all night, not turning up to trainings on time.
That's bad. Because if
Yeah.
it was actually him playing and that's carried on from Dortmund, like, man.
All I'm going to say is if he was 18, 19, staying up all night playing FIFA, like, we do it. But
yeah.
he was having stats that were similar to Messi at the time. There were no players in Europe that were matching his stats other than, like, Messi, which is ridiculous. I think he was averaging a goal or assist over every 90. And
That's pretty good.
if he was up playing FIFA all night, I barely want to go to class some mornings after staying up till like 2 a.m. If you're playing in the Bundesliga and then doing that at 18 years old,
Man.
it's just sad because there's potential there that is gone. It's
Yeah.
not gone yet, but you don't want it to be another Dele Alli situation where he ends up in Turkey or something like that, or in Saudi Arabia, and he's just could have been a player at the top of the world. Like,
Bro, a lot of
absolutely
people
the top
think
of the
he's
world.
not going to be staying, though.
I don't think he will.
Because if he doesn't stay, like, you guys have been cooked because of him and Anthony now.
Yeah, I think the Anthony situation is changing, to be honest. I think there's
Really?
stuff coming out that's saying, like, he didn't do it, and one of the women that came... So Anthony, what was it? He's had 3 domestic abuse charges put towards him, which is awful, and if he's done them, he should never play for the club again. It's another Greenwood situation. Greenwood shouldn't even be on loan. He shouldn't be at the club, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Anthony's just come back to England, and he's offering to hand in his phone to the police and work with them for whatever that can sort out. But there's a stake to claim at that right wing position, and I think you need to push these players aside and give someone an opportunity to go now, because Anthony, I do agree he gets favouritism, but I think Sancho shouldn't have come out like this and tried to stake a claim and go, no, I deserve to play. I'm going to post on socials about it. That wasn't the way to do it.
Bad. It is bad. And especially like you just mentioned before, how now that Anthony hasn't been playing, it was his time to come in.
Yeah.
If he started playing well, he would solidify his starting spot.
100%. And now you've got Palestri, who probably should have gone on loan He's playing. He played yesterday morning and played really well. I think him and Dello linked up great on the right wing. He's a traditional winger. He wants to get down the byline and cross. He wants to create chances and link up. Like, he's a quality footballer, but that was a chance for Sancho, I think.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Exactly.
So, as well, we've got the only sides left undefeated in Europe. I just saw this before. I thought this was pretty interesting. So we've got Liverpool, Girona, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen, Nice, Rennes, and Sporting, Porto, and Feyenoord, which I think there's no sides left undefeated in the Serie A as well. No Italian sides, which is interesting. Yeah. Anything to say about that? I think Bayern Munich are looking brilliant. I think Kane's transformed a side that was already unbelievable into something that could just win everything.
I honestly wasn't sure how that Kane transfer would go.
Really?
Like, I think he should have left Spurs, and so I'm glad he did.
Yeah, I think it was his time to go.
It was, for sure. But then at the same time, I was just like, is he going to take kind of half a season to adjust to how they're playing?
Yeah.
But he's already scored or got 9 goal contributions in 6 games.
Yeah.
Man.
Because what was your things with him? You didn't think he'd link up? You didn't think he'd fit in well with the squad? It would take him a little bit to get into that?
I just didn't think, from watching Bayern, that he'd suit their play style.
Okay.
But now that I'm seeing how he is playing, he's still doing what he was doing at Spurs and dropping deeper.
Yeah.
But then also getting forward. And I think that they've allowed him to have all that space, which I didn't think would happen.
There's a lot of space in the Bundesliga. And I think that offers him, he's got runners in behind that he can pick out. It's an ideal scenario for him. Because what do you think? Do you think he's the best striker in the world? As a City fan, it must be hard to admit with Haaland playing, but...
I mean, yeah, he's better than Haaland. I can't say Haaland's better. I think who's currently playing, yes.
Yeah.
You'd have to push for someone better than him. I would say the biggest comparison to him is Lewandowski.
Yeah, but he's obviously aging and...
Yeah. He's still doing really well at Barcelona, but he's just not on Kane's level.
No.
Particularly in terms of playmaking.
Yeah,
he can finish.
That's the thing with Kane. I think he's just an unbelievably good, well-rounded footballer, and everything he does just seems easy.
Yeah,
and fitting in that side, I'm really keen to see more of Bayern in Europe. I think they'll go on a really strong Champions League push.
Yeah,
and other than City, they're probably my favourites to go on and win it, which
they deserve it. I think they've gone out early the last few years, and.
I'm really excited for this Champions League campaign, I can't lie.
Yeah.
So we'll jump into some New Zealand football news as well, because there's been a little bit going on.
Yeah.
Some good and bad news for women's football in New Zealand at the moment. I think we don't have it down here, but the women's Phoenix side, they've had some great signings. I think we've spoke about it before, but the import spots have opened up to 5 players, I think, now.
Yeah.
And they've also changed their stadium for a couple games at least. It might be half of their home games are going to be played at a smaller stadium in Wellington now, I think it's a lot more intimate, and it'll make for a great atmosphere, and it'll be a way for these fans to get behind the girls.
Yeah.
I know if we go down for a game this year, because we're really planning on it this summer.
We've wanted to for ages.
We did last year, and I think now that me and you are coming up to the end of our degree, I think we've got the time, and we'll have the money after going full time to be able to afford to.
Yeah.
Even if we're not flying, I think it would be wicked if the boys don't have time, or even if they do, all 4 of us or just the 2 of us to hiss it down in one of the cars.
Yeah.
And I think it would be worthwhile finding a weekend where both of the sides are playing at home.
Yeah.
I think picking out one of those and going, let's go down this weekend and let's watch both teams play, because I think that would be so cool.
Yeah.
And just making a weekend out of it. I reckon that would be wicked.
Nothing better than a good road trip with the boys.
And watching footy, live football, a road trip, you can't beat it.
Such a good weekend.
And the Football Ferns lost 3-0 to Chile at the start of the week. Wilkinson got sent off in the 55th minute. She made contact with the referee, the linesman, after a decision. I think that's just a
kinda
game that
rough.
you push to the side and kind of forget about.
Yeah.
The campaign at the World Cup was so strong, and
Yeah.
I think you keep building on that and kind of forget about this. It's hard to go and play an away game as well after all the support back home. But a little bit closer to home, we had the women's under-16 side win the OFC Championship last night. They scored in the 94th minute to win 1-0, which is, I think that's super cool.
That's
and
so
you can
cool.
see there's a good batch of talent coming through now in the men's and the women's sides for New Zealand.
Yeah.
And the Chatham Cup. We spoke about that. Was that in our first episode we talked about that?
First or second, yeah, we did mention Chatham Cup and how. Oh, I think it may have been the first
Yeah, it
one.
was,
and
yeah.
the Chatham Cup was the coming weekend, and we ended up watching.
Man.
Oh dear. Well, I was really, really rooting for Melville just because we're from Hamilton. They're a Hamilton squad.
Was it after our football game? It was
Yeah.
we played our game, and then I think we just went home and then all just chilled out and watched it. And it was a hard watch for the first half. In the first 36 minutes, Christchurch United were up 2-0 after 2 own goals, which is that's hard.
That's rough.
But then Melville came back in the second half, scored pretty early into the second half, if I remember. And then Max Tommy, the keeper, ended up scoring in the 98th minute. I think it was off a corner and just
That's ridiculous.
slid in, whacked it in. It's just scenes. Like, it's stuff you go every time a keeper comes up, you go, surely he gets a go. Surely there's a chance.
Yeah.
Like the Allison one was meant to a couple seasons back. But seeing it in our backyard, like seeing it in New Zealand and being all over the New Zealand socials, I think that was so cool.
Yeah.
Rough because Christchurch eventually went on to win 4-2. I think it would have been a super cool story if Max Tommy ended up saving the winning penalty or something like that after scoring to send them to it. But
Yeah.
I think there's stuff to build on now, and congratulations to Christchurch because that's them equal most titles now in the Chatham Cup.
They've won 7 now, eh?
Yeah,
Drawn with, I can't remember who else, but it's pretty impressive.
I think they were drawn. That's drawn with. Oh no, we don't have it down. We had it that they would have been drawing because of that though, which is interesting. And then the New Zealand football squad got announced as well during the week. There's games against the Democratic Republic of Congo and Australia next month. Those are on the 13th and 17th of October.
Yeah.
Tyler Binden, starting centre back for Reading in League One. He could have been capped for the USA. I know he was quite close to being capped for them.
Real?
Yeah, I was reading something that he was going to be in that next batch of centre backs coming through, and there was another American centre back that they were looking to pair him with, and that could have been their future backline together, those two. But
yeah.
I think that's really promising to get him in, and it's good work by New Zealand football to get him and Dibley Diaz in, who we'll touch on in a second. Binden starts for Reading, I think, at the moment. I think he's playing most games. He's playing 90s, and that's in League One, so
That's cool.
that's quality.
Yeah.
And at just 18, there's a lot to build on there. And then there's Matthew Dibley Diaz, who's a 19-year-old youth Fulham player who's eligible for Portugal, England, and Brazil, as well as New Zealand. And
That's cool.
yeah, just get them cap-tied, get them locked down.
Yeah.
I think we had that really good batch of talent coming through with like Sarpreet Singh and Kakache and players like that. And I think if we keep building that and getting these batches coming through over and over again, that's the way to just have talent there.
Exactly. That's what they need to do, though, is they need to be like scouting these people and actually keeping an eye on who could they bring in and developing
and
the
looking at
squad.
these players that do have like what's the word? Who have joint eligibility, like players that can play that are like Brazilian or have like a mum from New Zealand or something like that. You need to look for these players because there's a lot of them out there. I've been reading a little bit about it, and there's a few that have eligibility that we need to just, I think, tie down.
Just jump on, eh? Yeah.
And then there's Joe Champness, Nico Kerwin, James McGarry, Sarpreet Singh, Chris Wood, and Michael Wood returning to the squad, which is just all good news for us. I think it'll be good to see Sarpreet Singh back in.
Yeah.
And James McGarry after making his move to Hibs in the Scottish League and winning the A-League with Central Coast.
Yeah.
And I think in general, it's just a good idea for New Zealand football to focus on youth a lot because you saw what Central Coast did with it. They went through with a really young squad and won the league.
Yeah.
And that's hard because the Phoenix currently don't have all the visa signings made, and there doesn't look like there's a lot of money there, but focusing on the youth is a good idea. Like,
Exactly.
you saw what happened with Kakache, what happened with Sarpreet Singh. It's good for New Zealand football, and it's good for the Phoenix in general.
And if they keep trying to make these young signings and building the team up, it also gives them a chance to make a name for themselves when they're young and
Yeah, exactly.
get bigger signings. So
Yeah,
it's a win-win,
if
really.
we get players coming in and they play one season and then they go off to England, like, I'm not
Yeah.
complaining.
I mean,
Like,
good for them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all it comes down to. I think we're never going to be able to hold down to talented young players anyway.
Yeah.
But I'd rather see talented young footballers than some older boys that aren't like, I'd rather see us not be a mid-table side with older lads that aren't going to fight as much, or
Yeah,
there's not as much going to happen. Get these young lads in and give them an opportunity and a platform to show how good they are.
For sure. And they've also, like you mentioned, they'll have more desire to actually want to play.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, players that have grown up supporting the Phoenix as well. I think that's really cool. A lot of them have mentioned that and saying, like, I've grown up watching the Phoenix play,
yeah,
and now that I get a chance to play for them, it's awesome.
100%.
So that's almost us for the episode today.
Yeah.
A big thing for us now is we're going to get onto socials. We're going to get our Instagram going, and we're going to properly be getting updates out on there. We're going to get some stories, a little bit of behind the scenes of us filming.
Yeah.
We film mainly Wednesdays. We've had to film Thursday this week because we had a presentation just saying how it was going. We got some great feedback. Like, we're really enjoying the process of all of this, and I think it's
Yeah.
really enjoyable, and it does big things for me and Ollie. It does big things for Lockie with the editing. It's just, it's a good time, and I think it's nice just to be able to chill out and have a break from the world and just talk football for half an hour.
I mean, it's both of our passions. Like, we're good mates. This is just like pretty much just a passion project. Unfortunately, we only have like 8 weeks left of the WinTech year, but we would love to keep this thing going, and that, I guess, partially relies on how well we're doing. So we both appreciate anyone who has watched already, and
We appreciate the support because we know there's a few people out there that are tuning in, but we're hoping to just keep growing now, and I think there's plans to properly get the socials running, cross-posting going on, and just make it bigger and better.
Yeah.
All right, that's us. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you for the next one.
See ya.